Good evening, everyone. This is Pradeep Mal, Ambassador of Change from GETI, the Global Education and Training Institute. We are the leading institute for training teachers and principals in India and several parts of the world. And we have many in service and free service programs. For more information on this, please go to 740-840-1000. Right now, you are on our disruptive education platform, and on this platform, we have met with and interacted with more than 1,450 educators from India and all over the world. And this evening, we have for you Mr. Mohammed Saied Atta. He's mentor and trainer, American University, RELO from Cairo in Egypt. In a very paralyzing world, building up a student who is able to cope with any circumstances is a must. Teaching the core of multiculturalism is the main duty of learning English. Meanwhile, a lot of teachers try to enhance and develop the four skills of language. They, they miss important points, which is culture and the importance of culture in learning any language. So, with this theme, Mr. Mohammed Saeed Atta will be speaking to us today on skills matrix for teaching English and how to build a global student. Good evening,
Good
Mr.
evening.
Atta. Over to you, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Pradeep. How are you doing? I'd like to speak to people from different places around that we are discussing something which is important, which is skills metrics and how to build a student who is a leader or something in our future. I always have a question about how to build a student, how to have a good student who's able to communicate and who's able to have a good contact with world around. And this is what we are reaching right now. A person from Egypt talking to you, and he is hosted from GETI in India, and it's very, very far places from each other's, very long destinations. So what we have right now is something different. We have very different cultures as a teacher and admin from another place. If we are applying such issue on the students, how to have such connections between our students from a place and from a very different place as from Egypt and India, from Egypt and Venezuela, from India and the United States, and so on. How to build it? The answer is learning English. And this is what we are discussing today: how to make English the bridge between our students and how to learn them the skills of language and the missing skills of language, and how to build such uh, connection, such relationship between our students and different cultures. This is what I meant by how to build a global student. Global student means a student who's able to communicate. And to be able to communicate, you have to be a well learned student, especially in the field of languages. I have some points we can speak about, but before everything, here is my PowerPoint and going directly to the second PowerPoint, the objectives of our session. The objectives, by the end, we will speak about what are the skills metrics, what does mean skills metrics, how to develop language skills, especially for young students, skills metrics and sub skills, very important. What are the skills of language and what are the sub skills of any language? Culture acquisition and language skill, or as a language skill. And finally, building a global student, how to build a global student depending on skills and metrics and the added sub skill or the missing sub skill which I will speak about. Uh, we have some points we have to be sure of. What does it mean, the skills matrix? Skills matrix means the needed skills which we need to learn, which we need to give to our students. This is skills matrix. Skills matrix means the needed defects we have to fulfill with our students. It's very important to put in mind skills language or language skills are the same in different languages and all languages around the world. So if you'd like to learn Spanish, you have to do the same if you are learning English and any other place. If you'd like to learn Portuguese, you have to learn so and so. The same skills matrix. Same skills matrix divided into four skills of language. So four skills of language, as we know, main skills and sub skills. Main skills like listening, reading, speaking, and writing. Those are the main skills of language. But if we are getting something more as sub skills for each skill of these skills, so we have for reading, we have how to read, we have sub skills after reading. So we have the skimming, we have the scanning, we have reading for details. So these are sub skills. If we have something like writing, we have independent writing, and we have integrated writing. And we are using some materials from different resources and build our own writing. This is integrated writing. So we have to know this. We have to know how to form skills matrix for our students. And the skills matrix here mainly how to make schedule for the needed points we have to focus on while learning, while teaching language. So what does it mean, skills matrix? As a first, skills matrix means it's some sort of competency, some sort of finding the defects, finding flaws in our students, and try to enhance such points of weakness. It's some sort of regular assessment of our students. We have to assess, we have to evaluate the performance of our students to fill up the skills matrix. Skills matrix, some sort of a schedule of timetable we can put will include the points of outcomes which we need our students to reach at the end of a course, at educational process, and time, and how far, how developing process they reach. So this is skills matrix. So if we are going directly to skills matrix as a definition, the skills matrix competency tool and the map of required desired skills we need our students to keep up with. And we have to know this. We have to know the skills we need our students to grasp, and in which time we need our students to reach some sort of competency or proficiency of learning such a skill, sub skill, or point of development. And it's some sort we can apply on teachers, team of teachers, or team of students. Same, we can apply skills matrix on the students. We can apply skills matrix on teachers if you are a manager in a school, or a supervisor, or a mentor in any school. So you have to know skills you'd like to make your teachers, make your employees competent with. So you have some sort of skills matrix, outcomes. You need to learn your students, you need to learn your peers, you need to learn and to educate your teachers. So We have to know that this is censored visualizing the outcomes. So sometimes we are having the outcomes in our mind. Sometimes we can miss it. Sometimes we can forget some sort of the skills or the outcomes when we are going in the process of education. We can like, okay, so we can forget some steps, we can forget some points. So we have to know this. We have to know uh, how to visualize this some sort of outcomes before us. So skills matrix is like what we give as mission board. You know that the mission board you put before you in your office to know what shall I do next Monday, what shall I do next Tuesday, and so on. This is some sort of a schedule I put before me to not forget the needed outcomes of my process. If I'm a teacher, I have to keep in mind and to keep this before me, the skills matrix and the skills of my students. I need to make them performing. So it's very important. So skills matrix here is skills to visualize. So skills matrix visualizes the skills that are required. So what I need, what are my students require. So it's some sort to make it available in the team and the skills that team is missing. As I told you before, some sort of putting my students or putting uh, my employees or putting my peer teachers on the track. So okay, I need outcomes from this learning process. I need some outcomes from teaching my students such course. So I have to put this before me. So skills matrix, the same as a schedule, I put and I plan to be before me and in front of me every time I start the process. Never forget and to keep in mind the order of the competency, the order of the process. So its competency helps to assess required skills. This is very important for the project or team or for students, as I told you. In order to successfully implement the skills matrix, you need to create overview of the skills that are required to complete the job project successfully. So, as I told you, we have to put all the skills we'd like to enhance. We'd like to put our students on the track by. So these uh, uh, points are the needed points for our students, or the needed points for our people around. So we have to put and visualize it before us while teaching, while giving a course to our peer teachers, or while doing that in any training course. So it's very important. So, how can we do this? The first thing we can do this is by assessment. It's very important to have the assessment at the beginning of any teaching or learning process and while and after the learning process. We have to assess the process. We have to assess the process of our students. We have to assess um, uh, the beginning of our students, which level they are. This is to know and identify the points of weakness before starting up. And then we are going through the educational process, and at the end, we have some sort of final assessment to know that our students have reached the needed outcomes or not, if they need or if they meet the needed outcomes or not. So it's very important to put this in mind. Okay, and there's something important. We have two ways of assessment. The first way of assessment is formative assessment. We have to know this, and we have a very important way, another important method of assessment, which is summative assessment. So for formative assessment, it's some sort of we have very regular assessment to our students from the beginning to the end. We have to know that our students should know um, we are assessing them during the time of the course or during the time of training when we are applying such assessment to our peer colleagues. So we have to put this. We are applying some points uh, of assessment. We have some graded tasks. You have to put this in mind. And during this graded tasks, we are assessing the performance of our students, or we are assessing the performance of our teachers, peer teachers, during the training. So this is very important because we are enhancing the skills of language by very regular way of assessment. This is formative. We are forming a test according to the target or the targeted skill we are covering during this part of the training or during this part of the course. So the second one is summative assessment. And in summative assessment, we have a very final assessment at the end of the course, which may cover the whole track, which may cover the whole process, and we are assessing the how our students reached the outcomes. Did they meet the outcomes or not? This is some sort of overall covering assessment to our students and to our trainees if we are having peer trainees as teachers or colleagues. We have something here which is important as well. We can apply this as team, as I told you, that's matrix or skills matrix, very important to our team. The competency is primarily tool to help the team as whole, as I told you, when we have this as some sort of um, uh, regular developing method to our teachers, to people around, and for our students, because we are in the same boat. If you're saying that we are in the same boat as teachers, we have to put such thing in mind. The competency skills matrix is primarily a tool to help a team as a whole. The team gains a quick overview of both the skills and to present this and as missing. Very important because I make some sort of activities as this very good thing in assessment. I have informative assessment. I have to put graded tasks, maybe ungraded tasks first for the needed points we need to assess our students on. And then we have some sort of redo after giving them a feedback. And then we have a graded task on this. So we are making some sort of competency to our students to practice the needed skill which they need to develop their language or to develop their performance in some wicked point. So we have to, this missing skill can be found in hiring people. Okay, we find this actually, and people when we are hiring them at work or something, or at students when we are enrolling them in our classes, we have to know that they have a missing part, but we are working on the potentials of our students. You have to put this in mind. If you have a student who has a problem in writing, but actually he has a potential in writing, so he may write some sort of short sentences, or he can write something good, but he may have something or have has a defect in writing. So I have to know if he has the potential or not. If he has the potential, okay, so it's great. I can take him, I can enroll him in my class, and I work regularly on assessing the student in affirmative assessment to know if he's developing or not. So I may make or I put skills matrix for the student, putting the skill I need my student to know and sub skills I need my students to cover, and put the time and put the hours I need my student to reach the outcomes in. So, and after that, I measure as a process, measure the development of my students after that. So I pose the skills matrix for the team, for building the team, for the psychological being of my team. I take them according to their potentials, not according to their if they are perfect or not. I'm not taking perfect people. So I may need some people who are making ourselves in such competitions with ourselves. Okay, so I'm good enough to develop my student. It's very important for the individuals. Actually, as I told you, psychologically, I may help the individual twofold. First, to give them the vision insight of their own competences. As I told you, the potentials, very important to put and shed light on my student that you have a potential and you have to work on, because sometimes we have some students who are perfect, actually, who are uh, doing great, but they have some problems and some points of weakness and some skills. Actually, we are working on the 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 competency of potentials. If they have the potentials of skills or not. If they have the potential of skills, this is your turn. You are working on this. You have to develop the performance of the student and try to develop and help him to reach the point of practicing and it's some sort of independent learning. So you have to shed light on the skills student has, and the needed skills which he has to practice and develop after that. We can give him some sort of skills matrix as well on the points of needed skills to be developed, and to put a plan for the student, and student himself can assess his process of learning by checking the points and the outcomes he may reach. So it's a very important point for students and for individuals themselves to help them in autonomous learning. So some sort of individual journey for the students. Organizations, of course, if we are applying this on the students and on teachers, on all people inside the organization, inside the entity, it will help the organization itself to be better after that. So it's very important to know that organization is a system, organization is people. So once we are caring a lot about the performance and the regular performance, regular assessing of people inside the process, inside the career, inside the entity. So it's very important that the organization will be great after that, depending on the performance, the strategy of assessing, strategy of developing people inside it. And it's very important that we will reach the perfection after that. We are putting the degrees of students or degrees of people according to four points. The potentials of students or potentials of our peers, our trainees, we will put them in such order. So now capability. So student is not capable of doing or performing basic level of capability, which is very important. So after that, number three is intermediate level of capability and advanced level of capability. If I have the student who has basic level of capability, so I can work with him to reach the following point. I can work with the student to reach another level of the process of teaching. So this is the second one. The second one, basic level. If I have the basic level, okay, you have a good student. You have to put this in mind, and you have to motivate your student to reach from basic level to intermediate level. So once you're reaching the intermediate level of capability, so you can reach the advanced level of capability. You can reach with your student to the perfect level of capability after that. So we have such levels of capability we are working on, and we are trying to reach after that. So it depends on some points, okay, after that. So how to work on the basic level of capability. So if he has no experience or knowledge, if he has little experience or little knowledge, if he has reasonable experience or knowledge, if he has considerable experience or knowledge, and he is expert experience, and he is knowledgeable. Here, it doesn't matter if he has no experience in getting the knowledge of how to learn by himself. I can give him the steps depending on the capability, depending on self motivation. So if I have a self motivated one, self motivated trainee, self motivated student, I can work on this. With little experience, with no experience, I can go forward with my students. I can practice this with them. I can put and visualize before them points of weakness which we will work on, and after that with practicing we can go forward and such process after that. Skills and target skills. So we have these missing here. So we have skills and targeted skills. Scales here means how can you scale, how can you put the weight um, of the performance, how focus will be the skill in my course. So we have to know which skills we target in our curriculum, which skills we target in our course, which skills we target in our educational process. So before any educational process, we have such target skill. We will try to get specific when we are planning teaching outcomes. Okay, so by the end of our class, a student will be able to write something, will be able to read something, will be able to speak, so and so. So if I put the outcome to be my student will be able to write something, so the writing is the main target of our skills. Students writing skill is the main target or the main focus. So if we are making something like equal balance between reading 2500% of the course, speaking 2500% of the course, uh, we have something like speak 2500% of the course, and uh, we have finally the 2500% of the course in listening. So I may not be focusing on one skill or on different skills, but maybe on two skills. The main course is for writing. So I may put like the main concern and the main focus will be on writing. 100% of my class will be on writing and how to focus on grammar, how to focus on how to write good simple sentence, how to write perfect sentence, differentiate between clause, sentence, statement, and so on. So it's very important to put in mind this is the main point of my class. I have to focus on different skills, and the first skill I have to focus on is the targeted skill. The targeted skill. So, uh, so we have to be specific, the target skills, and after that, put the sub skills of this target skill after that. Here we are coming up to one of the missing skills, which a lot of people do not pay much attention for. This is culture. And for culture, for a lot of people, are not paying much attention for culture, and students should know a culture. If I have to build a very global student, this global student should be aware of cultures around, should be aware of the culture of people around them, and should show some respect for them. So it's a matter of learning the fifth skill of language, which is culture, and this is to get a full grasp of people around, and to get experience and knowledge, which I've been talking about in skills matrix. When we are making a skills matrix and we are choosing student who is getting the full potential, or the at least good potentials, he should get experience and knowledge. How to get experience and knowledge is by culture. So how to get the culture of people around is very important. Search on web is very important, and to communicate with people, have good communication with people, is very important. So, and it's very important in learning any language to know the culture of the language. This is because sometimes we may have some points of very culture points, and I may know the language, I know how to speak the language, but once we are reaching the point that very culture point, I do not know what shall I say. So some points may be a joke, and the targeted language which I learn, and I do not know what does it mean, what does the joke means, or what does the joke mean here. So we are coming up to the point. Okay, so I cannot laugh because I do not know the meaning of the joke. So we have to get the culture point. We have to learn the culture to know if this culture can help me to learn this or not. Actually, my movies may help a lot in such point, but I always say that it's always by communication. It's always by communication. When you are communicating with others, when you are seeking to keep contact with people around, so this is you are grasping more about the cultures, grasping more about the cultures which you learn. So to grasp the culture, and we have two main targeted skills. Main skills may depend on culture, actually, listening and speaking, because sometimes in listening and speaking, if we do not know the culture, we cannot keep and try to develop such targeted skills. So we have to put this in mind. So in speaking, sometimes we have some expressions. We have a lot of expressions and listening we have to keep with, and we have to know to understand and to learn language, and to go forward in learning such language. We have a lot of points, of culture points we have to avoid when we are learning some cultures. I know that in India there are a lot of different cultures, and once I communicate with with Indians, I have to respect their cultures. In the United States, and I know that sometimes we have some points, culture points. I have to know that uh, something I have to do, something I do not do. So I'm not doing. I'm sorry. So I have to keep a lot of such points in mind. So culture will help us understanding, listening, and speaking. I told you, and to understand the culture points at the end. So at the end, I'm reaching up the end of my presentation. I'm very happy to be with you. I'm very happy to be invited by uh, GETI, and I'd like to thank Mr. Pradeep on giving me such a chance of contacting you and to have such little talk about the points of culture and to know love friends around. Thank you, Mr. Pradeep. Thank you, GETI, for giving me such a chance.
Thank you so very much for that very, very interesting talk on skills metrics for teaching English and how to build a global student. And before we leave, uh, I request you to watch our detox of our disruptive literacy movement by Global Dream, an initiative by Dr. Sunita Gandhi since 2014. This is to ensure everyone's participation by a people's movement in helping India achieve total foundational literacy and numeracy. So basically, each one teach one, and those of us who can afford to teach more than one should be doing it to bridge this gap between us and the others who have not been so fortunate as us. We have several talks on this every day, and for more information, please go to 7408401000 for the talks that you would like to attend. So good evening, everybody. Thank you, sir, and see you again
Thank you.
tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you, of course. Thank you. Bye bye.
Most welcome.